Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make another signet ring, but this time instead of a rectangular face we're going to go for a different shape like a circle or a diamond. So the way we're going to go about it is slightly different. So we're going to start with a circle, and the circle is going to be the diameter of your ring. Okay, so the size, whatever size that is for your ring. Okay, then we're going to create another circle outside of that, and we're going to dimension that one as whatever that is plus 3 millimeters, and that will give us a 1.5 millimeter thickness to the ring, which is good size for 3D printing. Now I'm going to draw some lines here to make a flat spot, and I'm not being too exact with them at the moment because I'm going to use my constraints to get it all neatened up. So I want this line to be a tangent to the circle, as with this one, and this one here. I'm also going to make those two lines equal, which means that it'll sit across there. With this one I'm going to go for a 10 millimeter flat on the top. So I'm going to dimension that as 10 millimeters there. Now I'm going to add another line this time, and it's going to be from where the straight line meets the circle, and I'm going to use that line as well as part of my shaping of the ring, because what I'm going to do to extrude it to start with is I'm actually going to extrude it with that flat on top. I'm going to extrude either side of the center line just to make it a bit easier later on, and I'm going to change the thickness of my band here to 4 millimeters. Alright, now I'm going to just turn this, share this sketch here so that I can use it later on. So what I've got here is a flat surface, and what I'm going to do with this style of ring is actually create a shape up here and then loft it down to that shape there. So blend the shape from this this plane down to that plane. Right, so I need a work plane. So I click on plane. I'm going to expand the origin until I've got the horizontal plane, which I can see is XZ there, and then I'm going to click on that line. Alright, and that allows me to do a degrees to that, and I'm going to say I want 0 degrees, like that. And so now that work plane is up level with that top line. Okay, and it's an XZ plane. I'm going to now sketch on that plane. So if I click on it, I can choose sketch here. Alright, and now I'm going to do the diamond shaped one first. Alright, so I'm going to find the end. Now it's a bit hard, so I'm going to just return back to here so I can find the ends of that line. So that point there to there, back to there, which looks a little bit weird at the moment, and then to there and to there. Okay. I want this to be, I'm going to choose now all 4 of those lines, and so I'm holding control to select all 4 of them there, and I'm going to make them all equal length. Okay, now you can see that this one here hasn't actually, that point hasn't associated with the other point there, so I'm just going to take that and put it onto that line there, which isn't there. So what I need to do is project the geometry of that top line onto this sketch, and now I can take that point and line it up with the end of that point. And let's do the same with the other end. That one there in line with the end of that point. That's over constraining the sketch for some reason. Alright, what are we going to do here, folks? I think we will delete one of those lines and go again. So I'm going to do a coincident constraint between there and there. It just doesn't like that. Alright, sometimes what you find is that we've got parallel or perpendiculars or something like that which is stopping us from doing it. So here I can see a perpendicular. I don't want that perpendicular. So now let's try and see if we can move that end around, which we can. So now we should be right to, once again, third time lucky, go from there to there. Good. And then I'm going to draw one more line from there to there, and I'm going to make that equal with that, so they're all equal with each other. Okay, that was a bit more mucking around than I'd hoped for, but it's good to see how these things work. Now I'm just drawing a line across this way, and I'm going to make that line a construction line so that it doesn't interfere with my pattern later on. Okay, I might also make this one a construction line as well, so that once again when I'm doing my loft it doesn't pick up that line. Alright, I'm going to dimension this one. Okay, so it's 10 across, 10 long. Let's just say I want it to be 8 across that way. Okay, so it's not quite square on the corners. Alright, it's slightly longer than it is wide there. Okay, so there's my sketch. I'm going to finish that sketch. Now I'm going to move to the loft command, which I've lost for a second here. There it is. Okay, and I'm going to loft that sketch, that shape there, down to that plane. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking that line and I'm blending it down to there. Now you can see that something funny is going on here. These green lines are the transition lines, so the ones that go from the corners of my object down to the corners of so the corners of this top sketch down to the corners of this face here. Okay, and I've got this one here going down to this wacky point, no idea why it's going there, and this one here going to here. In my experience, Inventor very rarely does it correctly first time. So what we need to do is actually go on the loft here to the transitions, turn off automatic mapping, and then you can see that it allows me to repair those. So I'm going to move that one to there. Okay, I'm going to move I'm going to go with so I'm just going to cycle through all of them. That one there's okay. This one here I want to go to there instead. What have we got? So you can see what I want is from each of these corners I want to go down to the two corners of this part. Okay, so I want to add another one, and it's going to go from there down to there. Okay, I want another one also that goes from there down to there. How did I go up the end there? Let's just spin this around. Okay, and I can see that I need one more that goes from there up to there. Alright, so now I've got 8 lines, and that's what I want. Okay, so 2 from each of the 4 corners of the diamond down to the bottom there, and now I'm going to go OK. And so now you can see that this is transitioning from there to there. Alright, now I want to smooth the transition between that plane and that plane, so I'm going to fill it in with a fillet. I'm going to go for a fairly big radius. Let's try a 10 and see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to spin that round to the other side and do that on the other side as well. Alright, and then I'm going to go OK with that. So now what I'm going to do is cut out the hole in the middle. So we will go to extrude again. Alright, I've still got this sketch live. So I'm going to choose that part and that part. I'm going to go through all like that, and I'm going to make it a cut instead of a fill, and there we are. And so now when we turn off this sketch here, or hide that sketch, turn off the visibility, you can see, and let's just turn off the visibility of that work plane as well. You can see there's our signet ring with a diamond on the top of it. Alright, now anything that you want to change about that, obviously you can go back and change. So for this first extrusion here, I might decide that 4 is a bit too thick, so I'm going to go with 3 instead. Okay, and that will change that. I can go back to this sketch here for the loft, and I can say, alright, I want that to be a bit bigger than 8, so I'm going to go with 10 there. Okay, so now it's just a square instead of a diamond shape. Alright, and I could even go back to this one, the sketch here, and instead of that being 10, I can make this 12. Alright, so all of that changes how the final look of my ring is, but basically if we change that so that it's now realistic, and the material is, sorry, this one here, the material is silver. You can see there's my diamond shape ring. So it's a signet ring with a diamond shaped top on it instead of the rectangle. Alright, thanks for watching.